anything, and there is no evidence that he ever went to sea. The main thing Prince Henry did is to introduce Europe to maritime information, and the European in turn used the maritime information coming out of China, then the leading maritime nation of the world, to go out to sea again and to get rid of some of his old wise tales about the sea, and that if you go so far the sea drops off, and that the land was, that the world was round or flat. But the European had begun to make up his mind. All the hunger, all the famine. Now that he's got ships, he's got guns, he didn't care what shape the world was in, round or flat, I want it all. And round or flat, he's going to take it all. And you keep approaching someone thinking somebody out of their goodness going to give up something they took from you. They took it from you, you got to take it back. This is what makes me nervous about that South African thing. We keep somehow one man, one vote. You got one man, one vote in the United States, you ain't got no democracy. You got one man, one vote, you still got homeless people. You got one man, one vote, you still ain't got no job. So what one man, one vote gonna get you? You talk about multiracialism, call for total African power. If anybody can't live under African power, then show him where the airport is, show him where the shipyard is, or show him where the graveyard is. Because you have to go. No argument. No argument. You got to go. I like Nelson Mandela, but he makes me nervous. He have not called for the return of the land. No land, no nation. Okay, now back to the groove of the talk. The most important thing is that a little-known sailor, Christopher Columbus, attended one of Prince Henry's schools of chart making. And there where he learned the basis of maritime skill. Now, we have no evidence that he had or ever had any command. Now this gets us into a mystery about Columbus. Michael Bradley, in a new work called The Columbus Conspiracy, found so much dirt under the name Columbus, he maintains that there were two Columbuses. No one man could have been capable of that much dirt, including 7 illegitimate children. Because when he spaced where the children were born and the different women, he couldn't have moved that fast from one to the other. If his side went over here, he couldn't have gotten over here fast enough to bring that one in the world. All right. Now, we have to deal with another date neglected in history. 1482. Ships land off the coast of what is now Ghana, later the Gold Coast, earlier the Gold Coast. They insist now on building permanent fortifications Portuguese ships had been coming along that coast since 1438. They would take a few slaves out of the country. 1442. The Portuguese king, seeing these slaves so well dressed and seeing them bringing presents from home, gave them presents and sent them home. The idea of enslavement had not reached his mind. The Portuguese enslavers thought the king was crazy, had his head shaved and sent him to a monastery. Got another king who could think better about the trade. Now, all right. The important thing about this trip, when they forced their way into Ghana, an African king, King Asa, differed with them and told them, if we saw each other infrequently, maybe we could maintain our friendship. Too much familiarity would erode our friendship. He was beginning to see what could happen. And then, in the beautiful last lines of his speech, he said, the sea is forever pushing against the land, and the land with equal obstinacy is forever pushing against the sea. He understood what could happen. But those Portuguese who couldn't sell him the Bible story forced that gun story on him, and they forced their way in and built Elmina Castle, the first of the great slave forts along the coast of Ghana. If 36 of the 42 slave fortresses are in Ghana, this tells you that Ghana was the headquarters of the slave trade. My point of mentioning this is that there's some evidence to indicate that Christopher Columbus was a part of this expedition. He says in his diary, as man and boy, I sailed up and down the Guinea coast for 23 years. What was he doing up and down the coast of West Africa for 23 years? He was in the early Portuguese slave trade. This is Christopher Columbus. Now let's go to 1492. Because in 1492, other things happened other than the alleged discovery that was not a discovery at all. Let's deal with two African events that have to set certain things in motion. 1492, Spain was whitening up through the marriage of Queen Isabella and Ferdinand. They began now to expel the Moors, the Africans, and the Arabs. If they expelled the Jews, and they did, that means they did not consider the Jews white. But most of the Jews were Sephardics. The same descendant of these Sephardic Jews are second-class citizens in Israel right now, though they are the majority in the population. Not a single field officer in the Israeli army is a Sephardic, though they are the majority in the army. The army is dominated by whites. Same is true of the Russian army. You got millions of Orientals in Russia. I'm showing you that whites play the white game, left or right, no matter what they say they believe religiously, no matter what they say they believe politically, they play the race game. You have over 30 million Muslims in Russia. Russia is declared atheist nation. Now, Christopher Columbus, in this voyage, this early voyage, would have set in motion. Now, the expulsion of the Africans and the Arabs from Spain